friends of Reddit, how did you figure out that you were the friend that was not actually a friend but just there? When I realized I was only being invited to activities/events such as Comic-Con or a birthday party or something, and not included when it came to going for coffees or lunch or just chill at someone's house. I was only ever included in the bigger, inviting a large group things. It was like yeah, she hangs around with us. I guess if we are inviting legitimately everyone else she may as well come. As well as this, I was never really spoken to or messaged by anyone individually just to chat. This past summer I had a detached retina and I was forced to be on my stomach on my bed 24 hours a day for 4 weeks. It was if I did not do that I ran the risk of further detachment. I made sure my family and my friends were aware. Out of 10 close friends I had that proactively reached out to me and made sure I had everything I needed. One gave me 3 months of Netflix and the other one gave me 2 months of Helo. Other than a response to an update I posted on Facebook, I did not hear from any other friends. Fast forward a month. I was the only one out of our circle to have electricity after Hurricane Irma. All 10 friends reached out to swing by and have a drink during this period. I only invited 2 of them over. I recently realized that I don't have a single female friend who wouldn't be surprised if I asked her to be my maid of honor. Almost every female friend I have has 1 or 2 best friends that they've known since childhood that they'd definitely pick over me for their wedding and whom they'd expect to pick them. But I have no one like that, and I don't have any idea who I'll ask when the time comes. I used to have this friend who, if we ran into someone she knew, but I didn't, while we were hanging out, wouldn't introduce me. It wasn't malicious per se or even intentional, it's just that I don't think my presence registered to her. Eventually her friend and I would get uncomfortable because she'd be carrying on a full conversation with them that I couldn't take part in, that we'd introduce ourselves and she'd blink at the realization that I was there. This happened all the time and she'd also taken to using the phrase "I think I can pencil you in" if I asked if she wanted to grab a coffee. Ultimately I got tired of her lateness, spotting her money when we'd go out, having one-sided conversations about her issues, and getting treated like I wasn't someone whose time she valued. I realized that I leaned more towards indifference when I thought of our friendship, so I just let that one phase itself out. I went to college. You're only friends with some people because you see them 5 days a week is depressing and cliche, but it's so true. I'm merely Facebook friends with a lot of my old high school friends. I've known my best friend of all time for 9 years, and we didn't even go to the same high school. We are friends to this day because we both worked for it. Seeing each other was never something we took for granted. It's the same way in college. I'm pretty involved on campus, but I know that it's probably going to be the same with my friends unless we put in the effort after we graduate. Adult friendships take a lot more work, but in a sense, that's what makes them so valuable. Nobody actually makes the effort to contact me. Anytime I contact anyone I get "we really need to hang out soon." Then nothing. Anytime I'm at a social gathering I'm out of the loop on any and all inside jokes and everyone clings to their favorite people, but I'm always the one sitting by myself feeling utterly left out. I quit going to anything, and I don't think anyone really notices. I don't get invited anymore. I realized that I wasn't ever invited to anything. Ever. There were inside jokes I wasn't aware of, and our plans to get matching tattoos were now exclusively a thing for the 2 of them. 2 of us go to the same college, yet I'm never told when the 3rd comes to visit, and only find out via Snapchat. They hang out several times a week and never really talk to me unless I initiate it. Sadly, these are my only friends, so I can't do much about it. Anxiety and depression do their best to make me feel that way as often as possible. Eventually the lines between reality and what your mind is telling you get blurred, and you kind of accept that it's probably true, which affects how you treat people and act, and becomes its own self-fulfilling prophecy. It gets tough to be close to people when you always feel like they are close to slipping away, and your mood is more difficult to manage because of it. I got invited to a bachelorette party trip, and I'm an approximate 3 photos out of at least 200 pictures. It was nuts, because the person I ended up talking to the most, and who seemed to be the only one who held multi-sentence conversations with, was a girl I had never met before, who seemed to be an outsider to the main friend group. The especially weird thing was that, even though the main group didn't talk to me, whenever they couldn't finish one of their drinks, they'd give it to me, and tell me to finish it off. Like a dog eating scraps or something. We are doing thing on day at time. Make sure you come. Me, okay, I guess I can cancel my plans. Me, I'm thinking about doing thing sometime this weekend. Anyone want to join me? Silence. So I asked this girl to prom. We've been chatting literally every day for 3 months. She says no, and there's no hard feelings, because the reason was that she was already going to prom with a girlfriend of hers. So no issues here. Then she goes with another guy. This confuses the heck out of me. She doesn't tell me. I'll learn through a friend of mine, who she tells. Apparently, her girlfriend bailed and this other dude asked her, so she went with him. I'm still cool, just slightly miffed, but I'm fine. I'll be friends. This is okay. She hasn't spoken to me since I asked her about it. She's completely cut off communication, and we see each other 2 to 3 times a week. I'll try to strike up conversations and she literally doesn't respond, like, she is actively ignoring me. Then I realized I was the one who initiated every single conversation we ever had. I realized she does not care about me in the slightest. And you know what? That's fine. When I realized that everyone would hang out without me, then at the next big get together they'd all ask me why I wasn't there. Everyone always seemed shocked that nobody thought to invite me. Oh, or the times I've been invited to something and straight up been told it was because they asked several other people first and they couldn't go. Nobody ever contacts me first to do stuff. Literally no one. I'm starting to feel like even my best friend doesn't like me anymore, since we only hang out when I contact her first and follow up multiple times to make sure she hasn't forgotten. And even then she's forgotten before. I think I need to get off the internet for today. This was a bad thread for me to come to right now. It became clear when I started seeing posts and such of my friends doing things together but without me. The entire friend group going for coffee, seeing movies, hanging out in general, but I was never asked. Then I thought I would try to be the better person and try to make new friends instead, but that ended in me being excluded from the group and unable to find other friends. I'm a genuinely shitty person and I know that, don't get me wrong, but it still sucks. I had a friend I'd made in the classic I'm an introvert and I have friends because an extrovert grabbed me and introduced me to their friend's style back when I'd first moved to the town. So at the point of this story, we'd been best friends for 4 or 5 years. She was absent from school on Monday. I remember that there was something I wanted to share with her, but I hadn't seen her. Tuesday comes around. I ask one of our mutual friends where she'd been. Oh, you didn't hear? She got into a really bad accident over the weekend and she's been in the hospital. My brain literally skipped tracks at that moment. I assumed I must have heard something wrong. Soon as I got home, I called her mom and got the story. Yeah. She'd gotten into an accident so bad that it totaled her car and given her a serious head injury. Everyone knew but me. No one thought to call me. None of our friends thought to tell me. We are still pretty close friends 15 years later, but things have never been the same since then. On a related note, I heard about my grandfather's serious stroke about 4 days after it happened, because my parents didn't want to worry me while I was at school. I've developed a complex anxiety about people failing to tell me important medical details. When I was a teen I was in a group of girls that were friends. I thought we were best buds. Until I start hearing about their adventures that I was not invited to. Then I noticed my invites over were actually coming from their parents. The parents liked that I was the buzzkill friend. No crazy off the wall adventures when I was involved. Haven't spoken to them in at least 5 years. Then last year I moved in with Jess, fake name. We were friends before and both needed a roommate. I moved in and it was alright. She had just started dating this dude a couple months previously and he was alright too. She asked me if I was alright if he moved in too. I said okay and she assured me that me and her were priority. I noticed it becoming a problem when our rooming situation went from me and her plus the BF to them plus me. They fought all the time. I wasn't a great roomie, but they weren't perfect either. Then they broke up. It was awkward, and he wouldn't leave. Then he got sick, and they got back together. I thought our overall friendship was strengthening. New roomie came in to help with rent, and we had a gang. Then I noticed that the gang was excluding me from activities, but figured I can't be involved all of the time, right? I figured it out when I noticed them actively leaving me out of activities that we had previously discussed doing together. Shortly after the realization, they told me to find somewhere else to live. Only talked to Jess twice since then. Fake friends suck. When they all went out for drinks one night and didn't invite me, even though I was sitting right there, but they'd ask for my help and be all warm and friendly with me when they needed my help doing class walk they didn't understand. Most recently, when my friends invited my boyfriend to game with them, he and I both joined the chat room. Since we usually game together, it was so loud when we joined no one noticed that I joined as well. So when my BF asked them to invite me to the game, I got to hear them say TF sucks tbh. I mean, he's really bad at the game, so it's better we don't invite him. Just make something up. If it's you who says it, he won't be mad. I've talked about this before, and I've since moved on. I can actually talk about it without feeling angry. Basically, my best friend got a new friend group and pushed me away. We went from texting all the time to him ignoring me and avoiding me, but was always available to hang out with them. It culminated in them turning on me, blocking me on social media, and kicking me out of the table. That's when I realized I was never friends with them, just the guy to cheat off of and to laugh at. I might be there or just there. I'm not really sure. I have a solid group of friends. They're all married or have children. I'm still that single guy. They've just returned from vacation that I wasn't included in because I'm not married. I'm still not sure how to feel about it because when it was planned I was actually dating someone for almost a year. I know a lot of people I would have considered friends in high school, but they all have friends who they are closer to. No one texts me, no one invited me places, unless it's in a big group. No one really speaks to me, unless I initiate it. And even then, sometimes I get left on read. If it weren't for my boyfriend and my one friend I met online, I'd be a very lonely girl. Although I believe that at an unconscious level, I always knew, I actually came to realize that I was that guy after going on Facebook an endless amount of times just to scroll onto status updates of my best friend hanging out with other friends at venues to which I was never invited. After that, I decided to carry a little experiment and stop talking to this girl whom I considered my best friend altogether, just to see what would happen. As I initially suspected, I was only talked to when I was needed for something quite specific, and invited to hang out when there was a birthday and they wanted to have something good to eat. I love cooking, and I'm told to do it quite well, thus I usually cook when I'm with friends. I was also talked to when someone needed some money or stuff of that sort. In a way, though, I definitely do not hold a grudge, since I believe it to be at least partially my fault as I was the one who allowed it. However, I'm simply not talking to those people again, and now I'm much more careful with people. My first clue was when they started having inside jokes that didn't include me and group hangouts without me. Like I did live pretty far, but it still made me feel excluded. This feeling was confirmed when we stopped having classes together, and I noticed none of them would talk to me just for the sake of talking. It was always, "Can you help me with this?" and never, "How are you? Wanna meet up?" Pretty much always. In school, I was a guy that people only befriended as I knew stuff, so was amusing to keep around, I guess, since no one even gave me a second breath when we all finished school. Outside of it, a lot of my friendships have been long distance, after meeting people via websites, forums, conventions, etc. I did have a spate where I did actually move across country, UK, to live with some in a shared house, and it was great for a while, but it all ended on a numb point for me. Maybe I didn't put enough effort into myself and my activities. I wasn't diagnosed with the mental health issues I have, but there's a feeling that it's lingered in me for years. But basically, I started to become excluded. The rest of them would go to the cinema without me, and any time I did go to anything with them, it was either a birthday or because I had stuck my nose in it the right or wrong, if you want to look at it, time. The kicker came when our landlord decided to sell up the house as he was moving out of the country. They all went and signed down on a lease without informing me, and then shrugged their shoulders at my being left out. It was an expensive city I lived in, and I couldn't afford to find anywhere quickly. So I had to resign a civil service career and pack up everything and move home to my family. This crushed me for years. But here's the kicker, I forgive them, and I'm still friends with them on Facebook/Instagram. I was a terrible roomie and someone best kept at arm's length. But I think that act has left me a little scarred. As if to tell myself every friendship I ever have I will end up losing because of inevitable turning to dislike. Years have passed and I made other online friends, and slowly but surely they all seem to have faded away too. I look at my Telegram/Discord lists and see people online and having fun, but any conversations were always initiated by me. So it feels like every time I start a convo, the recipient is going, "Oh god, why are you still talking to me?" to themselves. So I have stopped imming people. I'm in a few social discords, but that feels like passing conversation. In total, I would say I have one close friend in real life, and I can't even see them currently as they are touring the world with their partner. I'm also probably a pain, in that I don't feel like I have the mental age to match my physical one. I'm in my 30s and feel more at home with people in their early to mid 20s, but that just makes me look like an old creeper. So yeah, these are my excuses and rationales I tell myself. I've been the outcast of the group since I was a kid. In almost every group of friends I was in, I was the one that didn't fit in with the rest, especially if one of the girls had a problem with me. I never did anything wrong, I was just the socially awkward one. I have a group of friends from work now that I fit in with pretty well, but as accepting and caring as they are, I still feel out of place most of the time, especially when they often have conversations about things I don't understand and can't have an input in.